Hey, how's it going? Um, I'm gonna give people a couple minutes to get in here, and we'll just see how it goes. Those who are in here, if you could give me a one, if you could hear me just fine, it'd be greatly appreciated. So hopefully this works. I've not really hit the stream yard, but we'll see how it goes. All right, can you hear me? No, we'll just see how it goes. Well, for today, we're going to be talking about peace within chaos. Just looking at the current situation that's going on in the world today, we have to sit back and ask ourselves, it's a pretty chaotic time. Having the ability to sit down and look within self and find the kind of peace that pretty much we all strive to attain. But when I'm talking about peace within chaos, I'm not necessarily talking about um, just overall peace. There's so much that goes on in this world, and I'm seeing that even in the most chaotic times, you'll find the most love between people. You'll find that people normally in a chaotic time tend to leave behind their selfishness and become very selfless. They look after each other. They come together. They seek out one another and, comfort and um, people to confide in, even people you would never expect. And that's where I want to speak on it today. I'm not going to try and make this live extremely long, but this one is more or less, I just want people to find inner peace, peace within self, just being able to look around the world and the situation, what's going on, the back and forth. Of course, us being me personally, I'm a prepper. I will get to some aspects of that, but that's where I find my peace. My peace is within prepping. There are certain things that I like to do to prepare myself. And each and every person needs to find their peace, where their peace resides. For us as preppers, it just helps us to prepare for whatever's coming in the future, whatever's going to be happening, the things and the events. Because when you look at it from a realistic standpoint, we as humans don't really know how this world works. We come up with scientific theories to explain certain things, but overall, documented history of things like weather, the sciences, storms, we're very infantile in comparison to the expansion and how long, you know, the earth has been around as far as documenting. So we have no idea what's going to happen. We don't know if there's going to be an ice age. We don't know if this has ever even happened before. I'm putting my guesses on yes, it has. Oh, my bad. I do want to give a shout out. My apologies. Let me give a shout out to everybody in here. Jeremiah Dream, Malik, Yasharala, Kareem, Love Legacy, Belinda, Mr. Dark Fly Brother, peace to you. Black Indian, peace and many blessings to all y'all. But just being able to sit down and like take the time to really look within oneself. I could mention that so many different ways and being able to find peace, but it's hard in this world of chaos and confusion. Rod Jeweler, peace and blessings to you, brother. All praise to the Most High, peace to you. But being able to sit down and look around with all the, the chaos and find that moment of peace in a storm, or being in the eye of the storm where it's the most peaceful part, but eventually you're going to hit turbulent times again. These are just things that happen. You know, being able to look at each other and find that loving moment between one another, being able to find that point where you can actually sit down in that common ground. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what pretty much I believe we all should strive for. There is a commonality between many of us, even though we may not necessarily see it at the time, but it's there. Sitting down and looking at the overall perspective. We've had winters before. We've had strong winters. We've had summers. We've had each and every different season that you can come across. Being prepared for them is something different. You know, those who are down in Texas, best wishes and blessings. And, I hope everyone makes it through it comfortably, or at least to the best of their ability. But we have all have to learn the balance. Now, I wanted to talk about equivalent exchange also, the give and take, being able to maintain peace within chaos, chaos within peace. But there's a balance that has to be, it's a constant balance. Being able to sit down and think about the good and the bad. What really determines good, what really determines bad, the things that we have taken from the earth in order to have its entirety. If you look at the system that we consider, to be the earth in this world and how it's in balance, predator and prey, the seasons, the weather, life and death. These are things that all make up what we know as, life. The things that are around us, that wonderful circle that we get to look at, and passing by the beauty that's in, you know, every day. We have to stop for a moment, sit and breathe easy, and really get to analyze what is living, what is life, what is the exchange, what is our balance, what is our peace. What do you find that is peaceful to you? You know, oh, PCG, Empress Copper Fox, you know, um, and that's the biggest thing is being able to obtain that peace. I'm not going to say I've obtained it, and I'm far from it. We all have our times where we seek it and we can't find it. We all look for peace. We all look for the different things in life, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, being able to find, cope, learn, live, relate. Now, I could talk about prepping a lot because that's, like I said, that's my peaceful area, knowing I'm prepared. But realistically, how prepared are we? How many people purify their own water in here or know how to build a still? Um, how many people understand about canning food, being sure that you're prepared for whatever the future brings? There's a lot of different stuff that we can ultimately look at and try to figure out if we're properly prepared, but are we truly prepared? So this is something that we have to get into as people, you know, preparation. And there's a lot of stuff that I could go over. I got to start doing my videos again. I know I've been slacking off, but it is what it is. But for the questions that people have and being able to understand, see, and comprehend, being able to love one another and find that peace within self. That is the biggest point. Actually, hold on one second, y'all. Sorry about that. Had somebody pull up. But yeah, overall, that was my bad. But yeah, just as far as getting on prepping, seeing who we are. But the people in especially up here in the north. Anybody up here in the north, like anybody up here in the north experience cold weather. I know I'm used to it. I live by a wood stove and I learned the hard way that when the power goes out, things change because we're so used to our amenities as people. We're used to having fresh running water. What happens when that running water runs out? We're used to having, heat you can just kick on. Well, what happens when the heat no longer comes on? Power. These are things we take for granted every day because we're so used to having them. But when they're taken away, how do people react? How do they act? What do they do? And that's the thought process that everyone needs to get into. Um, and also finding that type of peace. If your water was to get shut off today, your electric, your gas, what would you do? How would you live? Do you know what to do? These are things for preparedness because our ancestors, they were real familiar with being able to bug out. They knew the seasons, they knew how to can. I believe we've just kind of lost that. Like, we're the generation, and as each generation comes and goes, more and more of us get lost. Being able to sit back and look at the older generations, like I remember my family was ready for winter, ready for summer, ready for spring. They knew what to plant, they knew what to do. But it seems like with internet at our fingertips and being able to actually, we have a world of information at our fingertips, a world of information, literally. But how many people really sit down and take the time to figure out something outside of that one thing that they want to learn? Oh, Kyle Redbird, peace and blessings to you. you know. But how many people actually sit down and take the time to realize that there's something outside of the normal stuff that we've gotten used to? We all come up with different ways to figure out, the amenities. We're used to waking up, you know, we're used to going outside, we're used to whatever situation you may have that you have become completely comfortable with and the things you take for granted. We're used to going downstairs and turning on the sink. Well, what if the sink doesn't turn on? What if you flick on your lights, the lights don't turn on? And I say this because it's a possibility. For millions of people, it just happened. It literally just happened. So we get wrapped up in this, it couldn't happen to me thing, or it couldn't happen to us, but it happens everywhere. People are experiencing rolling blackouts. Some people could say some people have conspiracy theories. Some people have different beliefs. They say it's the government. Um, Me personally, I really don't know what it is. All I can really say is it's something. And the fact that, mm, you know, we get blackouts up here in Ohio. It's not a common thing, but it does happen. So being prepared, and different parts of the country have to be prepared for different things. I know that some people, we look at it and we see that certain instances should not happen because the likeliness, or, you know, how likely they are to happen, it doesn't occur very often. Not many people think of, up in the north, we don't think we're going to get 120-degree weather. Now, if it happened, I probably wouldn't know how to adjust. Those opposites. But we have to understand something with nature. Nature is my master teacher. I don't know any other teacher because you could print things in books, you could put things on video, you could do whatever you want, but the thing you can't change in nature. Nature is going to be what it is. It knows nothing else. Nature does not matter. Nature does not care if you're black or white. It doesn't care if you're Latino or Asian. It doesn't care if you're young or old. It's it doesn't show favoritism to anyone. Nature only does what it does. You can't change it. You can't restructure it. You can try to do everything from cloud seeding to forcing it to rain. It will always find a way around man-made destruction. It's what it does. It's adapted just like the animals have adapted to humans encroaching. There's a lot of things that have gone on, and not trying to get too far left field on that one. But even with that, they have been able to find, you know, so with all this stuff going on, sit down and take time not only to prepare, but to find peace in preparation. The worst thing you could do is it's good to have a bug out bag and a bug in bag. That's always great. But when you're bugging out internally and you don't have that peace, that's the worst thing you could do during a critical situation. A situation that is a situation that's life or death, not being able to compose yourself or control yourself. That's something that ultimately can make or break you. Now, I want people to think about that for a second. Just the fact of having everything that you have and the amenities taken away from you for just a second, having that taken away, it would panic you, it would scare you, it would make you freak out, you know. And I'm not going to say everyone, but the majority of people want to live off the land. But the problem is the majority of people don't know how to live off the land. Understanding the things that we have and the many, many blessings that we currently have. And I say this to the utmost importance. When you want to go get a hamburger, you drive down the street and get a hamburger. When you want to go to the grocery store, you can get things that are in season, out of season, and off season. So look at the commodities that you have and the ability to go get the things you want. We take it for granted because we're so used to doing it. Not having to plant the vegetables and crops and not having to go out and pick everything by hand. Say the only time you can get a certain food is specifically in that season. Say if you wanted to go get grapes, but you could only get grapes in the summertime. Or if you wanted to go get oranges, but the problem is you live in a climate that doesn't grow oranges. We have everything at the touch of our hands, from internet to stores. I don't knock technology. I don't knock the things that are like having all these commodities, but understand this comes with a price. Being able to get this with a price, it it does, and that's that balance. Being able to give and take. There's enough food that no one should starve. Period. There's enough water that no person should go thirsty. There should be no way that companies should be able to monopolize things that give life to everyone. And that's how I see it. But this is my own personal view, and that's realistically, I just want everyone to look and realize how fortunate you are. Even with the little things, you may not have certain things in your life, but if you don't realize how high you are up, then you're going to scream a long way down on that fall. And here in this country, we're up. We're very far up. We're looking down at the rest of the world and we're like, "Man, beautiful view." But the higher up you are, the longer to fall. And sometimes when you fall too far, you won't survive. And I only say that to tell people that it's the reality of things. Oh, hey, Opie Mija, many really good to see you in here. Um, but yeah, we're not on that first story. We're not on that first level. There are countries and there are people who don't have food, don't have water, don't have shelter, don't have clean water. But yet we neglect the fact that we do have clean water, you know, and that's just a reason to be thankful. And I say that to everyone in general because we are very fortunate. We're very fortunate in a lot of things in our life. And that's where that peace should come from at this time. The peace is the fact that, there are people who are cold and you are warm. It only takes so little to have so much taken from you, and it can be taken from you in a split second. So realize the blessings that you have, whether you want to call them blessings, whether you're religious or not, whatever you are, cool, you know. But understand that we are in the land of spoiled children. Like, this comment might resonate with people and it might not, to be honest. It might actually offend a couple people. But if they shut off Facebook tomorrow, I guarantee there'd be mass suicides. If people couldn't wake up, get on their phones, and tell a bunch of people who really didn't care about their day, how their day went, I believe that most people would lose their minds. Because ultimately, seeking the approval of others is something that, through social media, we've kind of learned to do. But with that, we have lost our individuality and not understanding your individuality is your peace, because your peaceful spot is inside your individuality, the person you are, the one that makes you, you know. One of my favorite lines, like I said, by a rapper named Seven. He said, "You need basic survival and faith. Look, but how you gonna thrive off the land you can't survive without Facebook?" And that's one of the realest lines that I've heard. So don't take for granted the things you have. Every meal it's a gift. It's not promised. It really isn't. Not especially when right now I believe the statistics are 4 in 10 families have food insecurity. So when you're able to get a good meal, be thankful. When you're able to get clean water, be thankful for it. But why are we so angry? And I don't mean this in a literal form, not asking the people in the chat. I'm just saying, oh, going up and down. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can kick off this Bluetooth and see if it's better. Okay, how's that? Can everybody hear me now, or is it still fluctuating? Sorry about that. Might have been that I was connected through my Bluetooth. Hopefully it's going up, but if not, okay. So give me a one if I sound good now. That would definitely help. Okay, thank you. But yeah, us being in the land of spoiled children, and a lot of us will say, "Oh man, I'm not spoiled. I'm not spoiled. Trust me, I do the same thing." But at the same time, there are people in countries that are starving. I used to hate when my mom would tell me, well, there are starving people in certain country here. And there was always starving people. But because it wasn't in front of my face, I didn't really look at it. But I have to understand there are people who have food insecurities. There are people who they don't have, they don't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't know where their next batch of fresh water is coming from. Some people who may not even have the ability to shower, but yet waking up, getting up, and I'm learning to be thankful for everything. I mean, every little thing, because ultimately it's a blessing that I even have it. You know, even those who have or have not lost their parents, those who have them, be thankful every day that you have them. Your friends, your family. There's a million reasons to be thankful. There's a million reasons to find that inner peace within oneself. And that is something that needs to be expressed. Is because just look around at all the things we have to be thankful for, even though we have hard times. The majority of us have a roof over our head, a hot meal, even if it's a cold meal, it's a meal. We have the ability to just run to the grocery store and pick out whatever we want. You can go to numerous fast food restaurants and pick your exact meal. But have we ever sat and stopped to think about what all goes into that meal? Have we thought about the time and the effort, the preparation? how long it takes for a calf to become a cow, how long it takes for a hen, for a chick to become a full grown chicken. There's time and effort in these things, and there's an exchange. There's an exchange of energy. I raise my own chickens, you know, but I make sure to raise happy chickens. The love that I put out, and I'm very thankful for them. And I just can't tell people how to be very thankful. There's travesty going all over the world, but we tend to turn a blind eye to it when it doesn't necessarily affect us. But I found that tragedy brings out the best in people. And it was utterly amazing to sit back and realize that sometimes when tragedies occur, people figure out exactly what they're missing and why they should have been. And sometimes that's the best thing. Not the tragedy, don't get me wrong, but figuring out what you're thankful for. Because you never really know what you have until it's gone. You never really know what something means to you until you no longer have access to it. The winter my power got knocked out, you know, that was something that really threw me off. I woke up, I went to flip on the lights, there were no lights. Then I'm like, okay, this is different. Luckily, I was very fortunate um, that I had a wood stove at the time. It wasn't the most efficient, but I was able to heat up water on the stove, do different things like that, and it was peaceful. The situation wasn't the best, Back in the day, whenever our power would go out, we would all huddle up in one room and we would grab as many blankets as possible. And, you know, it would turn into a peaceful situation. Then the blackouts during storms, you know, there was a lot of times this power grid is it's bound to fail. I'm going to put it that way. It's very sensitive right now. It's always been. It's very fragile. It's. They haven't reinforced it, so these things are expected to happen. But once again, going to your refrigerator and having cold food, cutting on your TV and flipping on the 400 channels of nothing to watch. Literally, I don't know if you are like me, but it doesn't matter how many channels you have. But literally, there's nothing to watch. We're watching scripted reality TV trying to make us believe that this is what reality is like, to influence the minds of people. This is not reality. This is the Matrix. And when I say the Matrix, I literally mean this is the Matrix. You're bombarded by ideas and all these bots and machines that are programming your brain to think a certain way. And once you're trapped inside of it, you forget what to be thankful for. But not understanding that there is always a point where there's materialism in everything that we see nowadays. Your shoes don't make you the best. Your clothes don't make you the best. The different things that they promote out there, they push on us and they suffocate us every day. But then we're always wanting more, but we're not thankful for what we have. And this was put in play by the major companies. When you look at the CEOs of these companies, you think that they don't have people who are sitting there every day at the desk trying to figure out how to program not only children but adults to believe that we are lacking something in our life and that we are not complete unless we have this object, something external that is supposed to fulfill you internally, a material possession that is supposed to complete you. That's a joke. And that's where finding the inner peace comes from, because the inner peace, it's consuming. It makes you feel great. It makes you think a different way. It makes you feel a different way. It gives you a different understanding, being able to look at things from different angles. Because if you have peace within,
The exterior enemy cannot destroy that. But that is the chaos that they put out there. Not only our government, the commercials, every part and aspect of our life is so consumed with chaos and noise and frequency and Wi-Fi and 5G. And I'm not going to go on the conspiracy thing, but you guys get what I'm saying. We're constantly bombarded from all angles with stuff that really doesn't matter. Food, water, shelter, fire. You have to have fire, depending on the situation. But having us beat down and broken down in material possessions and not being able to understand that there is something greater, there's something better, that's when we can become a people. These material possessions, your truck, your car, your house, those things, and being able to put them out there. And I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of it because there are some material possessions that I really enjoy. But I have to understand that these aren't mine. I am just a temporary. I don't own anything. And when I say that, I'm not talking about credit wise or anything. Nobody owns anything. You are only a temporary caregiver for the things that you have been granted. If you believe you own the shirt on your back, the shirt on your back, the shirt on your back will eventually biodegrade or get thrown away. So you're only a temporary owner. Your house, yes, it feels good to own your house, your car, these things. You are only a temporary caregiver until it is gone or you are gone. I want to own land. That sentence makes no sense because the land was here before you and it'll be after you. So you're only a temporary caregiver. You're basically renting until you're forced to give it back. And these are the things that these material possessions are one thing that's kind of scary to me because a child's first words generally are mom or dad. But one word that follows up really closely is mine. A child learns possession and ownership of something before they learn the basics. They know mine because that's what they're taught. That's what they see. They see that people want to hold on to material possessions and grab onto these things. So mine, mine. And you'll hear a child repeat that. And I know I'm not necessarily talking about the prepping aspect of it, but prepping is prepping the mind, the body, the spirit, being able to prepare yourself for whatever, you know, for whatever is going to come ahead. But this is something that I really want to tell people is we have an unrealistic belief system, ownership and things that are ours because we believe that we can control something. You own your pet. So spending a fictitious amount of money in a system that doesn't exist, that has no financial backing, but yet you own the thing that you used imaginary currency to buy. How does that make sense? So if you use an imaginary currency of zeros and ones that are typed into a computer to buy something that physically can't be owned, you've become a mental slave to currency and the game that's played, like Monopoly. You exchange your time, your effort, your currency to buy up the board. And then once it's done, what happens? You fold up the game and you put it right back in the box, and the next person plays it. Now, that's a scary thought because this fiat currency isn't real. It really isn't. It's a way to put a value on what a person does. Who's to say that a carpenter is worth more than an electrician? It depends on the situation. Each person should be valued, or each trait should be valued. The bartering system works so much better. And that's how it really is for me, I can't own nature. I want more people to realize, if you're going to, and I can't tell anybody what to do because everyone's grown. But from my perspective, remember the 7 generations. Always plan for 7 generations. When you plant a tree, it was once said, they asked a man why he was planting trees, that he may never see the fruit. And he said, why does it matter if I see the fruit? It'll feed someone who is not hungry. I mean, someone who is hungry. And that is what has happened to me, is planting that tree. I may never see the fruit, but it's the fact that I know that generations will be able to eat. To make an impression that can help someone else and to find that peace within. We can't find peace in material possessions. That's like saying you're going to eat a meal and be full permanently. Those material possessions, they're a temporary, um, they fill you up temporarily, but the void being spiritual, or the void being uh, the inner peace that is within, and understanding that turbulent times, it's always calmest before the storm is what's set. But no one ever tells you that storm feeds all the flowers, the trees, the plants. So we need those storms. We need those storms in order. If we didn't have the rain, we wouldn't have the beautiful things that we have. So there needs to be a rainy day, just as there needs to be sunny days. But once again, that's the balance. If every day was sunny, eventually the water would evaporate and pretty much the trees would burn. It would be a desert, it would be a barren wasteland. So, with that balance between sunshine and rain, you know, the good days and the bad days, that really helps. So, I know I started this off on a different note, but I do want people to find peace in chaos, because there has to be a balance. The world is chaotic. Don't let it beat you down, and realize that you yourself are important. I can't stress to people how important they are. Because when the world beats you down, there's always someone who can pick you up. But in a world of selfish people, not understanding the equivalent exchange, or the exchange of energies, positive and negative, it's hard to find someone who's willing to lend a helping hand. Because when you look at the word self-absorbed, and not trying to go too far to the left, but most people are self-absorbed. And I don't say that in a bad way, because you are absorbed in yourself. It's hard to look from any other perspective but your own, because the only eyes you can see through are yours. So putting yourself in someone else's shoes is difficult to some extent. So when you look around, you look through your eyes, but being able to understand someone's situation, that can help so many people. Being able to let people know what to be thankful for. Because a person can complain they have nothing to wear that day, but they have a bunch of clothes that keep them warm. A person can complain that they don't have the newest shoes, but you got shoes on your feet that keep your feet warm. There are people who don't have shoes. There are people who don't have clothes. So finding what we're thankful for, and finding that balance, finding those blessings, and finding that beauty, that's one of the things that I believe ultimately helps us. That's why I talk about prepping. It's not only because that's where my balance comes from, but if I don't have to worry about the next situation to come up, then that allows me more time to seek peace. If more people were able to seek peace and find that peace, and I'm not saying don't get angry, but understand how to find peace even in the anger. No matter what river you go down, you're going to find a spot where it gets a little rough and it gets a little bumpy. It gets a little rocky, but understand that it's only for so long. No river starts and ends rough. It doesn't. No river, no tree, even us as trees, every plant reaches for the light. I don't mean that in a religious sense or anything. I'm literally speaking from, every plant reaches for the light. They all reach for the sun. No matter what plant you have, a plant will actually move and grow, even if it's in a bad situation, grow in a way that it finds the sun. That is what we need to strive to do. That is why I say my master teacher is nature. I strive to find the light, the good, the peace. I strive to find, those sunny days. But I use the rainy days to nurture my spirit. I use the rainy days to help me out. And that truly does help. I'm thankful for each person who comes here today and listens. And I hope that each of you gets the time to spread the message. Not necessarily saying you have to, but just being able to find that good ground and that balance, that peace in your life and that happiness, because all that anger and that rage and all that materialism and the fact we don't have, it affects your body. It affects your digestive tract. They say that disease starts in the gut, but where do you feel anxiety? Where's the first place you feel stress? Where's the first place you feel anger? It's all centered in the gut. So through that, by the stress, the anger, you know, feeling it, and they always tell you to go with your gut. We've always heard that. But you also have to understand how to relax, how to be able to belly breathe, how to be able to breathe deep and fill your lungs with fresh air and be able to breathe out the stress from the day, being able to leave your work life at work and not bring it home, separating yourself, finding that balance, and not the work life balance, but the life work balance. Life comes first, work is secondary. You need to enjoy your life, enjoy the things you have, and be thankful for the blessings that we do have while preparing for any future events, just to make sure that our peace is not disturbed. I could literally talk about nature all day because, like I said, for me, it's my greatest teacher. It always has been. And, you know, most high willing, it always will be, because I believe that everything has been placed in nature. You can learn a lesson from every leaf, every tree, and every blade of grass as long as you take the time to sit down and look for it. There's lessons under every rock and behind every stone. We see unity. We see more unity in animals than we do humans. Is it because they are supposedly inferior to us? A bunch of ants go together to make a bridge across water, one helping the other, each of them working together in order for the greater good. I don't think they understand. I'm not going to say they don't understand, but they don't have a materialistic society like we do. Materialism divides us because what one has, another wants. Name brands. We're so busy, overall trying to keep up with the new trends. That's the thing. These companies create these trends in order for us to follow these trends, in order for us to spend our hard-earned money. And when I say money, I use the term very loosely. Basically, you're exchanging energy for zeros and ones typed in a screen, and then you trade that currency for a material possession that you don't know. So just think about that. Oh, Chattahaya, peace and blessings. Good to see you in here. Sorry about that. But yeah, just think about that. Your life and most of our lives focus around an imaginary item made up. People kill over money, an imaginary item. If you look at these currencies, and that's what we really need is freedom of mind, freedom from. It's just really hard to explain in certain aspects. But I'm only meaning that we need to have that same kind of give and take and the beauty and the bartering to be able to make a system that I believe would suit us so much better. But this is my belief. Please take it with a grain of salt. I don't ask anyone to be influenced by anything I say. I just ask people to take it with a grain of salt. But, just think about it. That's all. I don't ask for those to agree with me because my ideas are that of my own, just as your ideas are that of your own. But may we respect each other's ideas. Now, I'm about to make a left turn if y'all don't mind, but, kind of roll with me. Now, we're going to get into, just for a few seconds, truth and opinion. The thing is, there is not just one truth. And I don't mean that from a spiritual saying. I'm meaning that if a man is colorblind and you say the sky is blue and he says the sky is gray, who is a liar? Is his truth any less valid because of the colorblind eyes he sees it through? Is his truth because you observe a blue sky and he observes a gray sky? Is he a liar? If you say the grass is green and he says the grass is blue, it's all about perception. So there are many different truths. It depends on the eye of the beholder, for lack of better words. And that's how truth really is. Now we have opinion. Now this is one that's pretty cool. So we have your truth and we have an opinion. Now when we look at an opinion is like, okay, we all know what an opinion is. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got one, and most of the time it stinks. But that is people will push an opinion as a truth or a fact, but facts consistently changed based on the evidence that is brought forth. So just because someone thinks something is a fact doesn't necessarily mean that there will not be evidence brought forth to actually change and substantiate if it was fact or not. So when we look into the truth, opinion, and fact realm, that's a blur. My truth may not be your truth, but doesn't make it any less valid. My opinion and your opinion may clash, but you have the right to have as such. And facts are always changing. Last time I checked, certain people they believe that Darwinism is a fact. I don't. So does the fact fall into my point of truth? Think about that. So that's where I want to bring these different things, and I want people to think. I know I'm a prepping channel. Well, I can't even say that. I just kind of go whatever way the wind takes me. But I want people to open their minds and just realize that looking at what has happened, the power grid and different things are so fragile. So are our truths, opinions, our facts, our statements, our life, our love, these different things, being able to find that balance. I believe that once it came from, it will return to. I don't believe this system's going to be around forever because if it's against nature, nature will destroy it. You cannot fight nature forever. It will eventually consume everything. If you look at all those different pyramids that they found, if you look at the temples that they found, they have to cut down trees and go into the deepest part of the forest to find these things because nature has covered it up and it's lost. Ultimately, this world does not need us to go on. Since this world does not technically need us to go on, why don't we look at the earth and treat it with respect and understand that everything it gives us, we need to give back? Oh, Queen Ottawa, peace to you. But being able to give back to this beautiful planet that we have, we're the only beings that will actually destroy the planet in order to make our lives easier. And once again, we're going to get into that big roundabout that gives me a headache about, the financial currency. You destroy the earth, you gain a fake currency. The fake currency is used to buy materialistic things, which makes you go back to work to gain more fake currency by destroying the earth, and the cycle continues. So basically, you know, being able to live in balance. I'm not now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't have a house. I'm not saying don't have a car and don't have a garden. I'm just saying understand you don't own it. You care for it. You are a temporary caregiver of a specific object. Ownership personalizes something and turns it into mine. But when we take that out and we say it's mine, we have taken it out of the circle that is completion. We believe that we own it. I'm not telling you loan your car to your second cousin and let him crash it. No, take care of the things that you have, but understand it's a blessing to have them. Take care of them. Make sure that you do the best by them. Oh, Copper Indian, peace and blessings to you. Good to see you here. But being able to take care of these things that we value, and I'm not just saying material, I'm talking about the relationships that you have, your friends and your family. Cars come and go, money comes and goes, houses come and go. But the love between your friends and your family is something that is irreplaceable. If you crash your car, you can get another car. If you lose your house, you can get another house. But if you lose a loved one, that leaves an imprint longer than any car or house ever will, because that is emotional. We have to take care of our emotional side. We have to be at peace with our emotions. We have to be able to seek that kind of peace and understand to spread that peace. There's so much I can go into. Literally, I could be on this topic for hours, but I don't want to bore everyone. But there's a beauty in this life. Understand it and realize it. If you have a child, be sure to express every day that you love, well, not just the child, but loved ones. Be sure to let them know. So If you're not guaranteed tomorrow, maybe you can end it on a good note. But find that inner peace and get rid of the turmoil and the arguing and the bickering and the materialism and those things. Prepare to make sure you can help others, but you can't help others if you can't help yourself. So as a prepper, prep a little extra for those who may be on the road. You know, those who may need food, those who may need water, different things like that. But make sure to be the greatest version of you. Make sure not to put faith in this system and, you know, the quote unquote government, because if it all collapses tomorrow, what are you going to do? And I mean that in the most literal form. If the grocery stores collapse, the currency collapses, food and water collapses, what are you going to do? Now think about that. Prep for survival. Plant trees. Do as much as you can to make this earth a better place for the next generation so they won't have to run to the stores to get food. And that's another thing I don't really get the concept of. Okay, now we go get genetically modified food. Warning, conspiracy zone. Heads up, conspiracy zone. Okay. Now we go get genetically modified food. That some of these foods are said to put chemicals in your brain to make you crave the food. So then we become addicted to the food and automatically go back. But is it because it's easier to go get genetically modified food, or is it because we've become dependent on it? And the majority of us don't know how to start a garden. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because you can always learn. But with the plethora of information at your fingertips, learn things that are valuable, or maybe even go back, print some stuff out, grab a couple things online, sit down and analyze things that can help your survival, not only yours, but everyone's. Because one fruit tree could feed a lot of people. There's no reason that there should be a starving mouth. I'm just being literal. Some people think not, but hey, teach their own. But there should not be a single starving mouth in this country. Matter of fact, there shouldn't be one around the world. It's the materialism that forces one to take from another in order to make themselves feel better. But ultimately, even some of the richest millionaires can't buy themselves a good night's sleep because they're always thinking about how to keep their material possessions. So some of their spirits rot. Even when some of these philanthropists give into um uh forgot the word, but some of these philanthropists, they donate lots of money to causes, and people are like, oh my goodness, that person is such a good person, until you see that tax write-off and understand that a lot of that stuff gets written off, you know. So if a rich man is always looking at ways to make and keep his money, but a poor man sleeps relaxed with just the bare necessities, who really has who really has the greater life? Is it the man who can buy everything but fears everything being taken away, or the man who has nothing where anything is a blessing? Another deep thought there. At least I thought it was. But yeah, I definitely enjoy coming on here and talking to everybody. You know, I enjoy people coming and listening and all, and hearing my perspective on things. And I thank everyone because the chat is always so peaceful. So much respect to everyone who comes in here. who stops in. And I just thank those who just take the time to listen. And maybe, you know, maybe I can plant a seed and we can break up a little of the materialism, maybe just a little bit, because we can't hold on to it forever. And realistically, there's only one thing guaranteed in this life, and it will end. So let's make sure that we install the best that we can for the next generations, that we make sure that they have something that we currently don't. Let's make sure that they have food that they can pick from trees like we used to. Maybe one day they'll taste clean water that isn't from a bottle. Electricity that doesn't use massive amounts of coal. Maybe they'll be able to step foot on unfracked ground where they're not pumping toxic water back in for the exchange of a currency. I say this only because I have a dream, and not like on the whole Martin Luther King thing, not trying to bite off that, but each of us should have a dream that we make something better for the next generation. I say should, but it's not necessarily it, because a lot of people love to say how they're better than another person. I'm no better than anyone. I'm not going to say I am. Actually, I refuse to say I am. Everyone has their strong points. Everyone has their weak points. Everyone has something to bring to the table. Trying to keep, okay, trying to keep. Hey, go for it. Go for it, Cheddar Bell. Just pruning, understanding proper pruning techniques, that helps out so much. Being able to form it into what you want so it doesn't grow too tall. So get out of the fruit doesn't get out of reach. So you're able to prune it, and not to force it, but by pruning it, you allow the water to reach the fruit. Some people say pruning is unnatural. I don't, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you have to trim a couple of branches to make sure that the fruit get a lot of energy rather than just the leaves, because the leaves will pull so much water too. So check out a couple videos on pruning and you'll be good. But yeah, and those kumquat trees will last. So just keep it manageable, keep everything, uh, and make sure to find that inner peace in something you enjoy. Drop in the comment section something that you find peace doing, whether it's gardening, whether it's composing music, whether it's making music, pottery. It doesn't matter what it is. Sitting down, staring at nature, maybe going on a canoe ride. Everyone has a place of peace, and being able to find that internally, just because you feel like it's only external doesn't mean that's its only existence. Your imagination can take you many different places. I'm not talking about astral projection. That's a whole realm that I don't get into. But just being able to sit down, relax, and breathe easy while thinking about that peaceful place helps out so much. So I got to go ahead. My food made it a while ago. It's probably cold now, but I'm going to go ahead and get something to eat. But I will definitely be putting up more videos. I'll be going live more often, just to, if you guys enjoy, just to be able to sit down and talk, just to be able to sit down and express and put out a different vibe. Because the vibe of confusion is overpowering. It's constantly beating your brain up. Being able to find that peace and that beauty, it definitely helps. Being able to humble yourself and understand that what you believe is yours, not actually yours. That's humbling in itself if you really think about it. You hold life in your hands every day in a literal standpoint with the things you do, you know, the smallest things. A life is a life, regardless of if it's a human or animal or whatever else. I'm not going to go too far left, but understand it is a circle. And when the circle is completed, it works perfectly. Now, when you start taking slivers out of that circle, that's when there's a problem. And eventually it gets to a point where it stops. Everyone out there, complete that circle. Feel that peace within. Understand it's okay to be angry. Understand it's okay to feel and be human. But don't look at what's put before us and we're told to be, because nobody can tell you how to be you except for you. And you are the best version of you. Only you can improve you. But you have to love you. You have to enjoy you and you have to find peace within. And I want to thank everybody. You know, thank you guys for showing up. Redbird, hey, always great seeing, always great seeing everybody in here. G, nothing but love. Freedom Feather, hey, definitely. It's an honor to receive good frequency and positive vibration. That's all I can. I'm not going to say that's all I can spread, but that's what I try to promote. Um, well, here goes another 5 minutes. But I noticed that right now in the world, and please forgive me if anyone takes this personally, but they're blasting a lot of negative frequencies out in the air. They're blasting a lot of negativity and a lot of separation. They're putting it out there and it's hitting hard. I mean, it's depressing. Every time you turn around, it's something bad. It's not peaceful. Like, because anger, drugs, sex, all that sells. When you promote that on TV, people flock to it. People flock to evil. It's harder to find a person who wants to watch something good and wholesome because we're trained to love drama. I I don't know. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me think positive. It doesn't put me in a place where I feel like I can grow. It's all about growth and development. Being able to grow, you know, put in the wrong soil, it's hard to grow and a lot of the plants die. So that's something we have to do is really press for, is really be able to press and push for the good things and the beauty that are in life. And I know I always say press for beauty. But when you've seen so much ugly in your life, sometimes you just want that beauty. I was told by my uncle, and I will always say it, don't worry, because there's a man who has found peace. And the man who has found peace has fought many wars in order to attain that peace. But never bring war to the man who has found peace, because he will do anything to keep that peace, including destroy those who attempt to take it from him. So it's not always the man who wants war who is the most dangerous. Even reading The Art of War, the methods of war were only used to obtain peace because those people wanted peace. Those who constantly want war will kill themselves off. But we'll get into Sun Tzu and all that other good stuff later. But I definitely want to drop that. Mr. Darkfly, brother, hey, thank you, man. Thank you for coming in, listening. I appreciate everybody. Once again, got to get to my food. So I hope everyone has a good evening. I hope y'all stay peaceful. Look out. I'll be doing more lives on this. I'll also be putting up stuff about prepping, getting a couple new things in. So I'm going to be able to do videos. And that's pretty much, I'm going to keep it moving. And I want everybody in here to do the same. I want everybody in here today, if you can, I want y'all just to think positive. Don't leave here and just go find drama or go turn on something, that's gonna just get your blood boiling and make you angry. Just sit down for a couple minutes and just think about all the loved ones and think about all your friends and your family. Reach out and hit them up with a Facebook message or maybe a text if it's not too late. But just realize, find that inner peace and that inner beauty. You know, I know y'all can do it. So yeah, y'all seek peace in all things, and definitely gonna be doing more lives. So just keep an eye out, and I'll catch y'all later, man. Y'all stay blessed and enjoy. Peace.